Hello. It's very wet and a little loud, but that's okay. So I'm gonna talk about Ninpo. Ninpo is a slightly peculiar five-pointed star with two sections of it cordoned off from the rest. I was going to start this video with a picture, but I had my doubts about Ninpo itself. Now, the reason for that is because I was trying to apply it to reality. And although the subconscious is real, Ninpo is not a realistic way of interacting with the world, even though it is the basis of ninjutsu. Ninpo is the subconscious. So in essence, we are all ninja if we choose to be. Being a ninja is not about being able to do spinning back kicks while flipping through the air. Being a ninja is about being so badass that you don't require any sort of strength, that you can defeat a weakness with a weakness. You might be thinking to yourself, how does this work? How can weakness defeat weakness? And the answer is in the mind. Still utilizing real-world elements, but contained within the mind and or using the power of the subconscious mind. Luckily, my camera is waterproof, so don't worry. Trying not to talk funny, but I have to raise my voice, so that kind of makes me want to overstate everything at the same time. So the 5 points of Ninpo, and there's also a center, is described in Lung's book as being flags or warning flags, because the letters flags spell out, the letters in the words flags, although they're not in the same order, spell out the weaknesses that are on the Ninpo five-pointed star. Fear, lust, anger, greed, and lastly sympathy. But not in that order, so I shouldn't have said lastly. Whatever. Ninpo can only really be explained by explaining the process of it. And I'm not going to start at the beginning though, I'm going to start at the middle. Because at the center of this five-pointed star is the air element, which disguises the rest of these elements as darkness. So these weaknesses, these subconscious weaknesses, and indeed the entire subconscious, is unknown to man, because it's always disguised as darkness. It always appears to blend in with the shadow, to be nothing, and to be little more than another shadow, just like every other shadow. But it is so much more than that. So, firstly, on the Ninpo five-pointed star is the earth element. Now, the earth element is sympathy. It's not so in every other system, but just in this specific subconscious meditative system of Ninpo, earth is sympathy, and you're going to find that a lot of these won't match up with other elemental systems because this one has a specific purpose. So, earth, which is sympathy, is defeated by fire, is burned by fire, which is lust, which is doused by water, which is fear, which is drank by wood, which is anger, which is calmed by metal / wind, which is greed, which is again eaten by sympathy. So it goes full circle, and it's a constantly rotating cycle. It never stops. There's always each aspect of the psyche, each element overcoming every other element. And I'm not sure about this particular part, but Lung said that you're always dominated by one or two of these emotions. Now, I think there's always a position you have to be in, always a standpoint you have to be taking, and every standpoint has its weaknesses. So in a way, there's sort of some things that sort of put you in a situation where you are having one of these weaknesses. And since it's part of your subconscious, I can't see you ever overcoming it. Just learning to use it to your benefit, which is what ninjutsu is. Ninjutsu isn't about hiding in the darkness. A ninja hides in the darkness because it's effective, because it's exploiting a weakness, because it's taking advantage of the fact that eyes can't see that good in the darkness. So the ninja acts on this weakness and attacks in the dark. If it was light that was harder to see in, then the ninja would attack in the light. Actually, that could work out because some people get whiteouts on extremely bright days. People with very light colored eyes or very photoreceptive eyes. And they actually can't see if it's too bright. Now that doesn't happen to me. I have very dark eyes and I have trouble seeing at night, but I can see really good during the day, that I can look right into the sun. But all I really wanted to emphasize was that cycle of weaknesses. So some of them are harder to explain, like lust defeating sympathy. I mean, anyone can see that connection, but I can't really think of a good example. I guess you could say I have trouble with this one. But you know, maybe you wanted to go to a charity event, help the homeless, but instead you decided to sit and lust after your crush, some girl or some guy that you're so attracted to. Maybe you wanted to have sex, maybe they're not your crush, maybe they're your girlfriend, boyfriend. Maybe you actually decided, hey, I'm not gonna go to this soup kitchen and serve soup to the homeless. I'm gonna sit here and have sex with my girlfriend, because that's clearly a much better answer. And it is. I mean, as far as for your sake, but it's a wheel that goes around, so it comes right back to that being defeated again. It doesn't really matter which one you choose, as long as you're able to stop someone else from taking advantage of your weaknesses. And really the only way to do that is to use your weaknesses against everybody else's weaknesses. Because we all have all the 5 weaknesses. Lung wasn't saying that we only have one of them at a time. He was saying we're only dominated by one of them at a time, or 2 of them. So there's kind of that whole always having another thing, a new monkey on your back, a new problem to deal with. It's really the way life goes, if you ask me. There's always another problem you have to overcome. No matter how hard you try to improve yourself, you're still just as weak as everybody else and prone to the same problems, same accidents, same stupid mistakes. No matter how much strength you gain, you can't overcome weakness. So you might as well use weakness to your advantage. Okay. So fire overcomes earth, or lust overcomes sympathy, and then following in process with that, lust is then overcome by fear. See, maybe there's a girl or a guy or somebody that you really wanted to talk to, you really wanted to get with, you really wanted to have sex with. This has happened to me. But you just can't work up the balls to talk to them. You just can't, you can't get over your fear of just like, that feeling, just like, oh, this person feels so superior to me because I look up to them so much because of their looks or the way they are, or their things they do, or their job, or like maybe they're an artist, or maybe they're in a band, or maybe there's something just amazing about them that you think, oh, I can't possibly be as cool as this person, and you just look up to them and all the envy makes you fear them, and you just say, oh man, there's nothing I can do to get with this person. There's no way I can impress this girl. There's no way I can impress this guy. There's no way I can be good enough for them. And the fear defeats the lust. That's water defeating fire, water dousing fire. Fear douses lust. Water is also counted as void in ninjutsu. Void is a mostly carbonic element that is centered around fear and doubt and depression and sorrow. Then we have wood. Now wood kind of pairs with earth. It's part of the earth element, but it's also a separate part. It's a sub-element of the earth element. So when it comes to the wood element, you're basically looking at, in this case anyway, in Ninpo it'll be anger. And it can be better described actually in most cases as lividity, or the desire to cause harm. But in the subconscious mind, in Ninpo, in ninjutsu, wood is anger. So fear feeds anger. Fear is drank by anger. You sow the seeds of anger in someone, and then their fear will make them more angry. It's sort of, the more you remember how I said it's also the void element. It's an element of depression and sorrow. Sorrow can be transformed into anger. In fact, me and another person I know both said that when we were the most depressed, we would turn our fear, or rather our sadness, all our insecurities and our woe basically, into anger, because anger doesn't hurt as much. It doesn't hurt as much as sadness. Anger can even actually feel good in a strange way, because it's a rush, it's a high, it's a hype. You're all, it's like you're on roids, you've got a rush. But, so fear can become anger, and fear feeds anger. Now, this part, it's not totally understandable, but I can find the wind pretty calming, so it does sort of make sense. Next part, wind calms wood, or greed calms anger. or anger is calmed by greed, wood is calmed by wind. Now, to me, there are very few things more relaxing than a breeze blowing through trees. Like a lot of trees, like, you know, it's just so nice to look at a bunch of trees having their leaves all blown around. Now, a good example, this is the easiest one for me, a good example of greed getting rid of anger is basically, let's say you wanted to fight someone. Somebody pissed you off to the point you're like, I'm gonna kick your ass. You don't actually say it maybe, but you're thinking, you're feeling, your fist is clenched that you're gonna kick this guy's ass or this girl's ass, whoever you are, whatever you are, I don't know. So then you think, wait. If I kick this person's ass, I'm gonna go to jail, and I'm not gonna have access to all my cool stuff that I have at home, or you know, I'm not gonna have good food. I'm gonna have all my selfish desires not met because I'm gonna be in jail where I can't have anything I want. I'm gonna be restricted. I'm not gonna be able to fulfill my wants. I'm not even gonna really be able to fulfill most of my needs. I'm just gonna be locked up, and bummer, everything sucks because I can't have my possessions and my privileges. So that's greed overcoming anger. You're thinking, you know what, if I do that, I'm not going to be having fun, and I need all my stuff and my fun things and my fun lifestyle to have fun. So I'm not going to act on my anger. I'm going to calm myself down, and I'm going to say, yeah, I don't want to hurt this person, not because they don't deserve to be hurt, but because of the consequences that argue with my greed that it's going to stop me from wanting to, you know, attack them. So then the last one is, remember wind, which is greed, doubles as metal. So the last one is wind is eaten by earth. Metal is a sub-element of wind, but it all goes hand in hand. Wind is metallic. It's magnetic if you can't understand it as metallic. So metal is eaten by earth. The minerals are consumed by earth, and greed is overcome by sympathy. You might think, oh, well, I don't want to go help the homeless today. I'm going to spend that money on myself. But then you're like, yeah, you know, I care about them a little bit, and they're in harder times than I am. They're doing a lot worse than I am. Sympathy is not love, so don't confuse it. It is a weakness. It is something that makes you say, well, somebody's hurting, so I better help them, as opposed to, I care about somebody, so I better help them. And, well, you go and you help the homeless. Unless, of course, you decide to go have sex with your girlfriend. Unless, of course, you pussy out because maybe you're worried that you're going to have erectile dysfunction. And then you'll get angry and say, fuck, I wish my dick would work. And then, what was the next one? Wind. Then you calm down and be like, yeah, my dick's not that bad. It does work. I couldn't get it up today because I was nervous. And then you'll have sympathy and be like, ah, fuck it. Who cares about my dick? I can get off tomorrow, and you go help the homeless. Or whatever, you keep going in cycles and cycles and cycles. And I think I explained that pretty well, and I like the way I use the word dick because it's hilarious. So, that pretty much wraps that up. I'm just headed up to the gas station up there again like I did yesterday in the first episode. And I'm just going to get something to eat. I'm going to get a coffee and a honey bun. This is the third episode. I might do a fourth one after this today, or rather tonight. I don't know, but I really am thankful. Well, I don't know if thankful is the right word. I got this Christian mindset that I should be thankful for things that, but you know what, I will be thankful because people help me pay for this. I use that word even though it doesn't encompass everything. I'm pretty thankful to my mom and my grandma, and to the people that give me free money, and to just for the people that invented this camera. I'm thankful that that I have a waterproof camera and that I can shoot this in the rain, so I can still do it while going for a walk. And that was pretty nice, and I'm only up to about 20 minutes, so I didn't go, what does that say, 29? Nope, 20. So I'm not up to a ridiculously long video like I sometimes do, so that's good. Anyway, my shorts are getting really wet, despite that I'm wearing a raincoat, and I'm just gonna go eat and drink, get feeling good, you know, get a little personal enjoyment.